We desire abundance in our departments, yet at the same time we fear it. A silent voice whispers in our subconscious that we wish for wealth. What if it turns out to be reliable? That is the strongest lock hidden at the door of the abundance of whispers. Florence Scovel Shinn gives this fear a name: the fear of sudden wealth. And this fear is a hidden law that nullifies one's own creation, because the universe judges not by your words, but by your votes. If there is a belief deep within your consciousness that excessive wealth is dangerous, the universe will keep your wealth away from you to protect you. But Florence says, it is the case where the god of fear defies the law. The only thing that can nullify it is declared faith. Today we will erase that fear. We will remember the spiritual declaration describing the decree of the demonstration law of Florence. This decree was prepared not to attract wealth, but to prevent it from being misappropriated. Because wealth is not just about money. It is an energy capacity. And that capacity expands, not in the shadow of fear, but through the diversity of beliefs. In this video, you will learn the formula for transitioning from fear consciousness to trust consciousness. You will hear the most powerful prayer-like sentence ever uttered by Florence. And if you put this sentence together and say it, money will no longer frighten you, because you will become capable of carrying its energy. Florence Scovel Shinn. She says that man's greatest obstacle lies not in the external world, but beneath his consciousness. While there is a voice within you saying you want wealth, if there is another voice deep down saying wealth is dangerous, the universe cannot narrow down the answer to which one it belongs to. The fear of sudden wealth arises precisely from this internal conflict. Many people desire abundance, but subconsciously, beliefs that remain from freedom reign throughout. Money changes a person. Those who have a lot of money become arrogant. It is better to be poor, but honorable. These elements reject the energy of wealth without being notified, and according to Florence, this rejection creates an energetic wall. The universe cuts money, thinking it's protecting you. However, fear does not protect you. Fear chains you, and even if the chains are made of gold, they hinder freedom. Florence says, fear is a case against the god's plan. If he trusts, he will lose the case. One can live as long as one wishes for wealth, but if one has a feeling of not being ready for it, life will make one wait. Because wealth is not a quantity, but a capacity. As your consciousness expands, it finds you. So why does fear arise? Because the mind is afraid of the unknown. The consciousness of scarcity codes wealth as a danger. If a lot of money comes in, responsibility increases. If I become rich, they will envy me. If everything is easy, I will choose what we have. Under the consciousness of these thoughts, it keeps rotating, and the following message is sent to the universe. Please don't give me too much. I can stand it. Florence always taught her country this. They were trained not to scare the subconscious, but the first step is slow. It is not to suppress fear, but to face it. Because you can have the power of fear of him, every one of which exists. Recognize it, name it, then transform it with love. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, why do I accumulate wealth with fear? Maybe it's because someone judged you. Maybe an opportunity was lost in the past. Maybe you subconsciously think you're not worthy of it. But these do not represent reality, because they see the creative nature, not the limited beliefs of the universe. Florence says, there is nothing too much for Terran's child. Feel this sentence with emotion. Because this is a hymn that shakes the fear. Fear is a narrow door, but faith is an eternal sky. The consciousness capable of bearing wealth creates not out of fear, but out of love. A student of Florence comes one day and says, Florence, by prayer, but there is the unity I want. As if something that comes with a lot of money will be broken. Florence smiles and responds, money won't spoil you. It expands you. If you are afraid or feel afraid, it is merely the cry of your old consciousness. Hearing the voice of fear is the first step to silencing it. Because everything suppressed grows, but everything accepted becomes part of you. Today, you too, notice that voice within you. Suppress it. Just say, "Save me now." He interrupted me, but now I'm safe. Here, he completes a horror task, and your consciousness meets a new life. The decree of the demonstration law. This declares the law. I trust in God's plan. Wealth brings me peace, not fear. Florence Scovel Shinn explains the power of this decree as follows. A law operates at the level of consciousness of the one who declares it. Fear negates consciousness. Faith creates consciousness. So now believe in living, not in fear. Because the law is trying to stop you. Wealth does not change you. It completes you, and in this way, fear recedes away. Florence embodied the law of demonstration as the energetic bridge between human destiny and God's plan. This law is the spiritual expression of the principle that you live what you say. But the real secret here lies not only in saying it, but in making the decision. Because the law does not serve the unstable consciousness. A lot of people say, "I want to be rich," but then immediately add a "but oct." But I owe money. But what will people say? But it's not possible right now. And Florence says, every but is a seal that cancels creation. The demonstration law decree breaks these seals. This decree reactivates the divine frequency. Florence calls this aligning with the law of God. So you no longer speak with fear, but with the right. A decree is not an ordinary document. It is a declaration against the basic provisions of a decree. When you say, "I no longer work out of fear. My products are my destiny," you no longer leave your fate in the hands of chance. You are signing your name to the law of the universe. Florence explains this law here as follows. The person who utters the decree is the ruler of their own world. Therefore, that divine sovereignty will be active in your consciousness today. From now on, authority will speak, not fear. Nowadays, the amount of bile is regulated because it is indispensable. The demonstration law decree consists of 3 steps. Recognize, declare, be grateful. Diagnosis. Recognize how fear is managed within you. Observe and declare the moments when it moves with your voice. Now cancel that fear and announce the new life. Be grateful, because the law begins to work the moment it is declared. Florence Scovel Shinn teaches a very powerful lesson about nature at this point. In moments when the environment was experiencing fear of wealth, he would make them say this sentence. I resolve all my fears in the divine order. I attained abundance and material wealth. But it is not merely a matter of nature. It is an expression of the change in the law of consciousness. When you hear this sentence from them, the energy of fear softens and the energy of trust takes root. Because consciousness cannot remain at 2 frequencies simultaneously. You either get scared or you gain self-confidence. And now you have chosen safety. A student said to Florence one day, "Florence, I want wealth, but my heart seems to be shrinking." Florence looks into your eyes and says, "The contraction is the birth pangs of expansion. Your wallet makes room for greater abundance. That's why fear is felt. Because as consciousness grows, it breaks through its old shell. When the shell cracks, a new energy emerges. Awareness of trust. In Florence's formula, trust is not an emotion. It is a law. That's why he says, trust is not the absence of fear, but the acceptance of God's existence. This is money. It fundamentally changes our relationship with money. Will our relationship with money continue or not? You take it and seal it. Florence says, faith is the living force that continues to appear. Today you also activated that law. You are no longer speaking in the language of fear, but of trust, and the law has already begun to hear you. Florence Scovel Shinn's wealth is not a quantity, but as a sound state. According to him, it is a signal that comes out of every word that speaks of human energy, every emotion that shines, and finding it in this world. Even couples encounter this fear when faced with it. Wealth is not a gift from outside. He is the reflection of the inner echo. During the period of self-imposed scarcity, one displays scenes to the outside world that confirm this. But in the inner state change, the same world suddenly begins to be filled with abundance, because the law is clear. Whatever you see, you multiply. Florence's fear of sudden wealth is in reality this fragmentation conflict. The mind says, I want it. He says he is afraid from the heart. The universe responds to whatever frequency it is pressed at. That's why no affirmation can be effective when uttered in a state of fear. It is created not through words, but through feeling. A person's allowing his wealth depends on the comfort of his heart. When your heart is compressed, energy does not flow. That's why he first taught Florence to relax. Relax, surrender, love would say. Because a state of trust is a natural characteristic of wealth. Take a deep breath for a moment and whisper it to yourself. Everything is going well for me. The universe is there for me. Even this simple sentence changes your options. The mind suddenly becomes silent. Open your heart. At that moment, the universe hears you. Because they understand that there is no fear through the language of peace. The following story is told in Florence Scovel Shinn. A woman has been having money experiences all her life, but she doesn't get any results. Florence tells him only one sentence. She seeks peace, not wealth. The woman internalizes this saying. Weeks later, her life begins to change. New opportunities, unexpected income, a calm analysis of abundance. Florence smiles and says, because now your choice has changed. Money loves peace. When a person obtains wealth, he often acts with a feeling of incompleteness. But abundance never comes to those who lack. Calling for it doesn't mean you don't realize it's already there. Abundance is not a goal, but a temporary state. That's why Florence says, you don't acquire wealth. You remember wealth. The phrase, I don't have any money, is a frequency-based shutdown. The phrase, I am in abundance, is an opening statement. Through this, what is achieved is no longer about choosing, but about focusing on feeling. It's not about how many times you repeat a word, but how important it is when you say it. Today, if you want to accelerate money rates, calm down your money first. Teach him confidence. Because the universe carries the echo of peace, not fear, Florence says. What is inside is what is visible outside. Wealth begins in the heart. One now begins to see wealth not as an outcome, but as a natural state. Breathe gratefully as you wake up in the morning. As you close your eyes, say, I am abundant. And then do nothing. Just give permission. Giving permission means working to get things done. One day you'll understand. Wealth is neither hidden in a bank account, nor in an opportunity. Wealth vibrates within you, and in that joyful moment, the universe opens its doors. This is precisely Florence Scovel's decree on the law of manifestation. I trust the divine order. Everything comes to me at the right time and in the perfect way. No more fear. This saying should resonate in your consciousness, because fear closes, trust opens. Your task is not to force the door open, but to keep it open. And when your heart is open, the universe begins to flow through it. According to Florence Scovel Shinn, it flows continuously like a river through the universes. It is not possible to change the direction of this data, but adapting to that current is entirely up to you. Wealth is not a goal. This is a state of resonating with divine existence, and that resonance is unlocked by just one word, capable. Most people want wealth, but do not accept it. Because wanting is mental. Accepting is conscious. Wanting says one day. Accepting it now means declaring it. Florence presents it this way. Declaring the completion of the creation of Cabell is to announce it. So when you get a wish in the universe, he's already on his way. But the mind gets impatient. They want to constantly check. Is it working? Did you say it correctly? This questioning brings resistance to energy. While wealth flows, this resistance stops it. Florence's law is clear. Resistance freezes the flow. Surrender accelerates success. One day, one of Florence's citizens came and said, "Florence, I pray for abundance every day, but there is no result." Florence will only say this, "Because you pray, but you don't accept." The woman will be surprised. "How so?" Florence smiled and said, "Prayer is knocking on a door. It is opening that door if one can. Most of the time, people turn it off and lock it, but don't step inside, because deep down, they have thoughts that deem them unworthy of this. These thoughts stop the production process." Florence's Nobel Prize win is not an award, but a birthright. She says, "There is nothing too much for Terran's child. So the universe doesn't ask you to be perfect. It just wants you to be open. You have to earn your wealth. You just have to accept it." Cabell is a silent yes, and that yes is enough for the universe to act on your behalf. Close your eyes for a moment and say in a voice outside that I accept. Divine abundance is flowing towards me. This sentence begins again. When the universe has an open heart, we are drawn in. It draws closer. Florence Scovel Shinn says, "If something comes to you, it is because of you that you find it, not because of God's unrest." Refusal is not always a clear no. Sometimes it's a mixture of fear and uncertainty. Therefore, be clear. Despite the fear, the event happened. And at that moment, a global level lock is unlocked. When this lock is unlocked, it begins to open. When you see those opportunities, you believe, and as your faith gets stronger, wealth will find you. Florence experiences this in a spiral way. Faith gives birth to opportunity. Opportunity magnifies belief. This cycle is endless. That's why accepting wealth is a one-time lifestyle choice. It happens again every day. When you wake up in the morning, eat when the time comes. Today, abundance flows to me. I accept it. And then let the universe be on its own yap.me. The less you push, the faster it will come. Because prayer was a calling, there is no fear anymore. Not, but the transformation into a consciousness that speaks through money. Because the divine work itself has been created. Florence Scovel Shinn says, "True wealth is not what you have gained, but what you can carry." Because abundance is not merely an achieved result. It is an energetic state. Many people learn to attract wealth, but fail to sustain it. Because their energy field is still vibrating in the patterns of scarcity. If it is small, even if abundance comes, it cannot win. Knowledge expands. A lot of people get scared under it. If A is no longer sufficient for me, these fears will constrict me. I will manage to remain in the universe. The constricting energy will halt my access. It expands. Human consciousness is like this too. The way to preserve wealth lies in trust, not fear. To sustain wealth, one must first let go of the belief that money will never leave them. It can be used in conjunction with the energy of money. It comes when you are at peace, and it goes away when you are afraid. That's why Florence says, "Love money, but don't cling to it." Because love attracts, but Florence translates it. Money is the face of God, in the consciousness of abundance. In other words, it is also a formula of divine energy. To reject him is a direction of God. To bless him is to purify receiving. The way to sustain wealth is to establish a relationship with money. Look at him not as a come and go, but as a walk around. Because energy is always wanted, he'll come back to you too. It multiplies when you are grateful. One of the laws taught by Florence is the law of circulation. This law states that it preserves the time of reception. They help others, smile, share, and do this not out of fear of losing, but with the awareness of expansion, because they know that whatever you give becomes the source of that energy. A student had asked Florence, "How come some people always win, no matter what others do?" Florence had responded by not smiling. Because one invests in fear, the other invests in trust. The person who invests in fear believes they have no foundation. However, a living person knows that the universe is inexhaustible. It manages, not personal file hardware that can hold wealth. When there is no room left in your mind for thoughts of scarcity, money will not leave you either. Florence Scovel Shinn's decree on the law of demonstration applies here again. I am in the continuity of divine wealth. It is renewed by the infinite supply of every resource. This sentence reminds us of the continuity of energy. Because nothing is lost in the universe. Only the format changes. You may feel like today's money has been lost, but it has only changed form. Maybe it turned into an opportunity, a demonstration, or a lesson. The loss of abundance consciousness is seen as freedom. Because everything transforms. Nothing ends. That's why Florence says, if something is leaving you, something older is preparing for you. The person who can hold on to wealth believes this saying. Don't be afraid of losing money anymore. Don't be afraid of him. Because you know that if the energy stops, life also donates. Then let the current carry you. Trust in life. Keep your heart open and say this sentence from within. I am within my hymns. Money comes to me, stays with me, and serves me. Then the universe whispers, it is now ready. Now you can carry it, and you begin to sustain not only abundance, but also eternity. In Florence Scovel Shinn's teachings, the ability to reprogram one's subconscious mind with true power consciousness is what determines one's destiny in detail. Because conscious words are spoken, but it is beneath the consciousness of the one who writes one's destiny. That's why Florence says, the mind prays, the subconscious makes the decision. No matter how many affirmations you make, if your subconscious remains in fear, your words will be broken and echo back. But once that wall is broken down, words reach God's law. Florence Scovel Shinn provides a key to this transformation. Fear is resolved through love. Because fear is not the end, but the name for the lack of light, and light comes with the future. Think about it for a moment. Are your fears there to protect you, or are they there to limit you? There is always a good reason for fear, but there is no right place for it. He wants to keep you away from the pain, but he also keeps you away from the miracle. Florence says, fear is a false protector who works in place of the God of fear. That is why one should thank fear. Yes, to say thank you. Because seeing it as a messenger, not an enemy. Fear is an inner reminder that you still don't fully trust God. Florence used to teach a very simple but powerful ritual to reunite the subconscious. Cancel and re-announce. Whenever a thought about fear arises, such as, what if I run out of money? Immediately notice it. Stop. Take a deep breath and say it in Florence's words. This thought has canceled the divine order. In its place, God's consciousness of abundance has taken root. Send this sentence as a new record to the subconscious mind, because the mind perceives it as repeated reality. By replacing fear with trust enough times, the neural pathways of computers are reshaped. Fear is no longer an automatic response. It would be a noticeable choice. One of Florence's districts lived in constant fear of losing money. Florence is the application of this method to it. The woman began to be cancelled every time fear came. After a while, he realized that the sound of fear had subsided, and something interesting had happened. He began to intrude into your life. Florence told him, you have cancelled the ban. The law is working for you now. Because fear only exists as energy. If you don't believe in it, it goes away. But the subconscious transforms love into trust in people, replacing fear. Another practical aspect of Florence Scovel Shinn's method was nighttime quality. Say this sentence just before going to sleep today. I protect all my fears. My divine abundance consciousness works in my sleep. This opens the door to the consciousness of the sentence. Because the subconscious is in its most receptive state during sleep. If you hiss this sentence, you are saying that your subconscious mind is using it as a new code. After a while, you experience different symptoms. When fear comes, it doesn't paralyze you. It brings peace, that lasts forever. Oh, peace becomes the sign of the consciousness of trust. And when you reach that consciousness, wealth no longer frightens you, because you are vibrating at the same frequency as Him. Florence says, "The mirror is the mirror of God. Whatever you show, it reflects back. Now you show that mirror not fear, but trust. Don't blame Him, don't reject Him, you rejected Him. You just transformed Him. He smiled when you noticed the fear. Because it is now part of your mastery. Every fear is a memory. You have forgotten the law, and when you remember that He is alive, that God has never punished you, that He has only educated you, a great freedom is born in you now. Sudden wealth no longer shakes you, because you now work with energy, not money. When love replaces fear, God speaks where fear ends, and God's voice is heard. Do not fear, everything will be all right. It is the realization that you are one with the creative force, because it is the continuation of the God of man. It was created not to oppose His life, but to work alongside Him. But when one fears, that bond weakens. Fear drains the energy of the soul. Faith, on the other hand, elevates it. Florence says, the power of God is within you, not somewhere separate from you. To know life is to learn this power. The awakening of the law of demonstration begins with man's remembrance of this truth. Now the transition from the consciousness of all I want to the consciousness of I am one with divine power begins. This transformation is the moment when fear is completely resolved and trust settles. Florence used to teach this to its people. The self-important person makes the difficulties of his God harder, because the law operates through your actions. Without your speaking, intending, believing, or losing direction, nothing appears. It responds to the energy of the universe. It is not your power. Therefore, wealth comes through alignment, not effort. When a person aligns with the universe, everything becomes present. The right people appear at the right time. The right appearances emerge. Because the divine flow expands rapidly where there is no resistance. Florence calls this divine mathematics. Plus, God is always eternal. In other words, your limited human power becomes unlimited when combined with divine consciousness. Now, small steps yield great results. Now, the transformation of effort into a miracle. To activate this consciousness, Florence proposes the following sentence in a powerful decree. I am one with divine power. Nothing is against me. Everything is working for me. This completely changes the energy of the word, because now you're out of victim consciousness. Why don't you live consciously with my vehicle and not me anymore? And that's when the law of demonstration begins to work in full. Wealth is no longer just an external result. It becomes God's way of speaking to you. The opportunities that come her way, the unexpected help she receives, and the inspiration she experiences are no longer coincidences. They are indicators of this, Florence says. There are no coincidences. The law works. You just need to be aware. As it expands at the beginning, it begins to vibrate in the same rhythm as the God of consciousness. Now, even your fears change in meaning. The direction they affect you shows where they lie. Overcoming them brings you a little closer to living. Florence Scovel's this information is kept confidential. Because a person aligned with the divine power no longer hurries, does not fear, does not resist. It is merely knowledge and the purest form of creation. Recognize this today. That perception that makes you feel like the universe exists outside of you is an illusion. In reality, you are a part of the universe that remains. It is a choice of her intelligence. The word is a command, and the command activates the divine power. Pause for a moment. Place your hands over your heart and whisper these words of Florence inside yourself. I am the channel of divine power. I create not out of fear, but out of love. The form of this sentence changes instantly. You no longer ask for anything from God. Produce together with God. This is the foundation of all different people. Fear no longer separates you from God and children. I can only make you forget. But when you remember, your experience shines anew. And at that moment, the entire universe aligns itself with you. Florence says, when a person is in harmony with their God, the entire universe becomes a member to answer their prayer. You are the living embodiment of that prayer. Now, money, energy, abundance are all on the same frequency. Because you are the ones who remember the law, and the law always hears you. Florence says that abundance is not only a blessing but also a responsibility, because the universe only gives as much as it can bear. Wealth comes to you not to show your strength, but to expand your consciousness. Florence says, abundance is the mirror of character. It shows how you get to Him, how you believe in God. Many people's wealth causes them to forget inner balance. Replacing fear with trust is the first step. But humility within trust completes the divine life. For wealth comes not to exalt you, but to serve God. If you can understand, abundance is renewed when filled with selfishness. Wealth is a test. If it brings you closer to God, this is true abundance. If He's incarcerating Himself, it's just the weight of money. For this reason, the universe hides a small test in every abundance. This exam is not about how much you earn, but about what you do with what you earn. He shares the consciousness of true abundance, because He knows that He will return everything He has given. The spiritual test of wealth is to maintain balance, neither to hoard out of fear nor to squander carelessly, simply to nourish oneself. Florence calls this state divine balance. Neither praise for deficiency nor arrogance for excess. It is the order of the God of things. A student said to Florence, "Florence, I have money now, but I don't have peace of mind." Florence replied, because after thanking God, there was a lot of money conversion. But when you are grateful, money becomes light again. Therefore, the only way to maintain abundance is to remember gratitude. No matter how big you get, say that again every morning. What I have been given is a reflection of the love of God. Then neither what you gain will spoil you, nor what you lose will break you, because you know both situations. Everything is temporary, but divine life is eternal. It is learning to possess the spiritual test of wealth, because a truly rich person isn't one who owns many things. It means not feeling the absence of anything. This knowledge of Florence Scovel is summarized as follows. Wealth expands within peace. It perishes within greed. Look inwardly, not at what you gain today. If there is peace in your heart, living means working with you. But if individuals harbor fear, anxiety, or comparison, the law merely serves as a mirror for them. His money, his opportunity, his experience are asking you this question. Will you use this power with love or with fear? If your answer is love, the universe expands you. If your answer is fear, the universe stops you. Florence's formula is simple yet sacred. What God created together with you is guided by your consciousness. Now you possess a consciousness that knows the law. Wealth is no longer your test, but your reflection. And if there is devotion, love, and surrender in that reflection, all parts of the universe remain open to you until the end. According to Florence Scovel Shinn, miracles are not gifts from the sky. They are natural phenomena that occur as one passes through the law of the God of human consciousness without fully awakening. In the universe of miracles, it is not an exception but a state of balance. Florence says, the law is already working. It only needs silence to hear your voice. Many people pray, meditate, and make intentions, but they cannot see the miracle. Because they talk all the time, but the outlaw listens to the silent heart. The word begins the law. Silence completed him. The mind is disabled, the heart is activated. The mind produces, the heart becomes the delivery, and the law follows the division that passes through the heart. One day, one of Florence's countries told her the following. Florence, I am praying, but nothing is happening. This sentence is the essence of understanding the law. The miracle seems as soon as you can see it, because then you can't control it anymore. It's just letting you don't think about it for a moment. The most unexpected beauties in life often come from the act of letting go. This is no coincidence. It is the silent expression of divine balance. Florence says, "He speaks in the silence of God. If he makes too much noise, you won't be able to hear him." Therefore, the miracle does not come by saying be, but by saying okay. Because be is the desire. It is the entirety and the final stage of creating acceptance. Florence Scovel Shinn left these words for all who await the miracle. Miracle is the natural state of God. Call upon it, remember it. Remembering is actually realizing that the universe is constantly cooperating. So stay calm even in your cells as if nothing is happening. Because even at that moment, the law is working. The energy is being reshaped. The roads are being prepared. Your heart may be aligning. Close one eye and whisper this sentence inside it. Everything happens at the right time, in the right way. Even while I'm waiting, the law works for me. At that moment, the energy changes. Anxiety is replaced by peace, and that peace gives birth to the miracle. Because it is the outward manifestation of miraculous high-frequency tranquility. As Florence said, a miracle is the point where God's voice meets human consciousness. You no longer want miracles. You carry within you the silence that will create it. And in that freedom, the entire universe aligns in your favor. Because there is no fear anymore. Because there is no resistance anymore. Only peace, surrender, and transience exist. And at that moment, the law whispers, "It happened." Every journey of Florence begins with a word and ends with a promise. Because the law is not completed merely by what is said, but by how it is said for the last time. The word is a reflection of God's energy. With a word, life begins. With a word, consciousness is reborn, Florence says. When you utter the word with faith, the law does not return. For God answers the faith given to the word. Now all fears have been solved. All resistance has been abandoned. Not from fear to trust, not from deficiency to abundance, not from doubt to surrender. It is your nature. This seal is completed through Florence's most powerful prayers. I am the channel of divine abundance. Everything comes to me in God's perfect order. I will surrender my fears. Those who remain with wealth, peace, and love will prevail. Everything works perfectly according to the law of his God. This promise provides a door in consciousness. Now it's not about getting energy. It's about transformation. Because wealth is not an action, but a state of being. Florence Scovel Shinn says, "Stop asking for the rich. No, it's sacred. What is now being produced is no longer random. Now the abundance comes from outside. It is not a light emanating from within. As Florence said, it is contained within the laws of God. The ordinarization of a miracle you remember. And this moment is the silent birth of your own miracle. The law is working on your behalf now. Now money, energy, opportunity, and peace meet in the same center. Because you are no longer just someone who has abundance. You are the source of abundance. This reminds us of what Florence Scovel taught us. His word is a prayer. His thought is a creation. His emotion is a frequency. And he never remains indifferent to the capabilities of the universe. Now, at the end of this journey, the voice of fear has completely fallen silent. Instead, the melody of trust, surrender, and gratitude has taken its place. And when you remember this melody in the morning, it will continue to resonate with life in the same rhythm. Because you are now one who knows how to live, who feels the strength, who speaks out. You possess a consciousness that seals away. And the law says, he who surrenders his fear inherits abundance. End with a silent prayer in Florence's language. Thank you, God. Everything has already happened for me. If these words have found an echo in your soul, write your own decree in the comments. I have aligned myself with the law of divine abundance. Let the universe hear what is happening, because now your word is law. And welcome to the spirit of Florence Scovel's Nourisher.